You want to be able to run your air conditioner off grid with solar generators? That's exactly what we're able to do right here. This was a really fun project. This air conditioner for this large house is running off of this small high Solus Apollo solar generator setup. They actually run their entire house off grid with this and a bunch of solar. We just got 8.3 kilowatts of solar panels hooked up to this house here as a full off-grid backup system. We've got 5 solar panels up here on the shed and then 10 solar panels here as a pergola off the back deck. And these panels are bifacial, meaning that they will take ambient light from underneath them and add that extra energy into the solar generators to run the whole house, which means we can actually get more than 8.3 kilowatts of solar input in ideal conditions. So these 5 solar panels are facing a different way from the pergola, but we have 5 here tied in with 2 more that are on the pergola, and it's working great. I'll show you the solar input here in just a second. But in total on this array, we have 7 550 watt panels. So the first 2 panels over here are actually the first and last panel of those 5 over there. It's really confusing, but it makes sense when you put it on paper. And then the other 8 panels over here are a different array. So we basically have array 1 with 8 550 watt panels, and then array 2 with 7 550 watt panels. All of that goes through the shed underground here, which you can barely see that we did any work, and then comes up and then back down through these conduits. But I'll show you how we did it all. It comes over to the garage, comes right through here, and then over to these Apollo solar generators. So between these 2 solar generators, we have 6,000 watts of split phase output power. All that means is that this house can pretty much run everything that it needs very comfortably and will make over about 40 kilowatt hours of battery a day. There's only 21.5 kilowatt hours of capacity here, which means that they could charge this fully up in a single day while still running the house completely on solar. And then as soon as the sun sets, know that they're right at 100%, which will be plenty for them to run all of their appliances through the night, no question. Right now, we're actually getting some pretty good solar input. You can see here on array 1, we're getting just under 4,200 watts total. And then on array 2, about 3,500 watts total. So that gives them about 7,700 watts or 7.7 kilowatts of solar input right now. And it's pretty incredible because when we started working on this morning, we were at about 30%. And it is almost noon and we're now at 76%. So this will be charged in another hour or 2. And then we can run the entire house by using this 240 volt connector in conjunction with this super heavy duty extension cable. And what it allows us to do is connect it to a plug that's under here that can run this entire electrical panel, which is the majority of the house for all of the essentials that are typically used. Let me show you how we put this all together. This kit was ordered from poweredsolar.com. This customer happens to be near me and asked us to do the install for them. So we're very happy to work with them and do this fun project. He was the one that actually put the 10 solar panels as a pergola on his back deck, and he wanted us to add the panels onto his storage shed off of his side property. So we had to run all of this conduit basically between the shed and then the deck. That way we could tie together the panels from the back deck and the shed. The bottom line is we wanted this to be a simple project for him, and so we ordered this Iron Ridge equipment that's specifically designed for flat roofs. Now these UFO-shaped discs basically get screwed into the rafters, and we use a roof caulking to make sure that there's no chance of water getting in. And then this bottom leg setup is tiltable, so that way we can adjust the angle of the panels, because the rear legs are actually going to be sitting up higher than the lower leg. That way we can get a greater tilt towards the south. The more you're tilted towards the south is basically the better setup. So this tilts back and forth in order to adjust to any angle necessary for the back legs. One of the trickiest parts about all of this is doing the wire run. So we were able to get all of this wire pulled through. This is 10 gauge THHN wire. THHN, or sometimes called thin wire, is what you're allowed to use within walls or inside conduit, but it is not outdoor rated. To have the outdoor rated stuff, you have to use PV or photovoltaic wire specifically in order to reduce the cost, because PV wire is expensive and it's harder to pull through conduits. Now the beauty of using a solar generator like the Apollos is, 1, it's very easy to put together, and 2, once it's put together, it's already pretty much programmed, minus a couple of other settings that you have to update depending on how you have it set up. So with 2 people, this gets put together in literally a matter of minutes. This is the advantage over a DIY setup, is This has all been put together for you. That's really what you're paying for when you get a solar generator, is to not have to worry about putting it all together. There's only the last connections you have to do. Now, we started putting all that together because it was windy outside, but we had to wait for another day for it to be less windy. Now, the bottom part of the rail actually has these marks in order to tell exactly what angle you're at. And with 2 people, once again, you can easily put panels up on this flat roof. And all you have to do is clamp them down into place. We use this 2x4 to hold the racking exactly where we wanted it. And then once the first panel was on, we were 100% good to go, no longer needing that. All we do is carry these up, and this is where you can see the cells of the back side of the panel. And so these bifacial panels will gain extra power through the reflective light, and the white roof was specifically put on this shed in order to amplify how much ambient light is hitting the back of the panels. This iron ridge rack was really easy to use. This you can usually get from a local retailer like a Green Tech, or even sometimes electrical supply warehouses will carry solar equipment. Now, the Iron Ridge equipment I do like, but I have since moved on to the K2 systems because it has better wire management. All we had to do is ground it, so we ran the 6-gauge ground wire to a ground lug on the racking, and that just makes sure that if there's ever a lightning strike or any type of issue, that all that energy gets sent to the ground. This is just a junction box that we got from Home Depot and made sure that it was 100% watertight. All the cables are tied up securely behind the panel so everything looks clean, and there they are, all 15 solar panels ready to go to the Apollos. We just have to do our final voltage check. So on array 1, we're getting 366 volts, which is perfect because we want to be below 500 volts. And then obviously array 2 is still well below 500 volts. This is such an easy setup to put together. I personally run this same setup at my house, but with twice as many Apollos and twice as many batteries, as well as 52 solar panels. This is so simple to put together. If you want to see how I ran my house off-grid with 2 Apollos, you can click this video on the top right. Running air conditioning, running your refrigeration, freezer, Wi-Fi, TV, everything in the house is running like normal. And we've been able to consistently get between 7 and 8 kilowatts of solar input, so this literally takes 3 hours to charge while still running the house, which is absolutely incredible. Having this amount of solar is the correct way to do it. Make sure you have lots of solar input, and now they no longer have to worry about having a backup system because they're fully off-grid with this setup. Be prepared. See you on the next video.